Hello, family. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I thought I was added into the stream. I'm on StreamYard. So, how is everyone doing? I hope everybody's doing fine. I just sent the link to Pastor Kelly. I wanted him, me and him were talking about it today. Um, I kind of wanted to talk about an interesting article I ran across. I know it's late, so I'm not going to keep everybody long. And whoever, and if you don't see it now, it's fine. You'll catch it later on when I'm done with it. It'll be available on YouTube. But a very interesting article I ran across that's very concerning, but it also allows us to see what's going on and as it pertains to this virus. Now, one thing we do know, family, I've said this. Let me tell. I've said this. I said they're going to try to find a way to pull us in, and make us the guinea pigs. Shalom, Solomon 144. I know I ain't gonna keep folks long because it's kind of late, and I hope people are getting their alerts. I hope so. If not, they'll catch it later. Because YouTube been doing some weird stuff with everybody's YouTube pages. So again, hello. So family, I'm gonna have a conversation. I invited Pastor Kelly in on it as well. I want to have a conversation about something that's about to happen that's kind of concerning. Not necessarily concerning, but we saw it coming. Um, right now, you know that they're trying to do the COVID vaccines, and they want to do trial runs, and they've been building this big propaganda that we are the most impacted communities. Hold on, let me pull him in. Hey, Pastor Kelly.
Hey, what's up, sis?
What's
How's it
going on with
going?
you? It's going. How you doing today?
Doing good.
That's
Can't
good.
complain. Even
That's
if I wanted to, who would listen, right?
yeah, you're right. You're right. So I'm talking about the article. Have you seen it yet? Did you get a chance to see it?
No, let me pull it up. Do you have it up?
Yeah,
Or actually,
I'm ready to play it
my
now.
phone went dead, but
Okay.
what was the title of the article now? I
It was,
could Google it.
it's Dillard, and I have to pull it up. Hold on, because I'm gonna play it real quick. I want everybody to see it. So I was kind of giving them the backstory, and we can kind of talk to it through it before we start before I show the video, or well, we can kind of talk to it. So right now, actually my daughter brought this to my attention that how not how, but what is it? Dillard and Xavier sent emails to some of the students urging them to be a part of the trial run for the COVID vaccine. Um, but it's only the HBCUs. They said the PW, what do you call the public public white universities didn't. I don't think they received the email. And it was
Mm,
one of the students on campus that did, I think, either an Instagram video or it was TikTok. I don't quite know which one, which social media outlet they used, but they did state that they were concerned. So when
yeah.
and she just told me about this about, I want to say about 30 minutes before I talked to you. So this is recent. Um, and when she said it, she said, I hope that they don't start experimenting with all of us. I said, well, if they try, it's going to be up to the parents' decision. But we have to be careful with the universities because they'll communicate to the student and the parent will be unaware in most cases.
Wow.
Because in
Yeah, I pulled it up. Actually, I'm looking at the official, this is coming from Dillard University website.
Mhm.
And this is a letter um, that they're addressing the students, the staff, and the faculty. It says our communities have been hit hard by COVID-19 pandemic with harrowing consequences for the lives and health of our fellow citizens. Let's see what else it says. It goes down. I'm gonna go down to paragraph 2. It says, "We, the president of Dillard and Xavier, are already participating in the Oshner's or Oshner medical system's current vaccine trial. As part of the study, we have received our injections and have been monitoring and reporting any symptoms and side effects. Upon our enrollment, we were fully informed and any possible risk that we would exclude us, that would exclude us from the study were disclosed. We are both well. We appeal to the students, faculty, staff, and alumni of Dillard, Xavier, and our sibling institutions. So you know what that means, right? Others that are connected to them.
Sister, yeah, sister
Exactly.
organization. Yep.
So that's dealing with the other universities, HBCUs. So it goes on to say, considering participating in this trial or others being conducted, the people and community we serve look to us as an example. Our participation in such studies will help find ways to better fight the pandemic. And
Wow.
then it goes on, and this is just what really insults me. This is what insults me. I'm just reading this on the fly. It says, as presidents of HBCUs, we do recall unethical examples of medical research. We remember the Tuskegee syphilis studies, which misused and caused harm to the African American community
Mm-hmm.
and other people of color, undermining trust in health providers and care. Today, many regulations in place. There are many regulations in place to assure the ethical execution of medical studies. See,
Mm-hmm.
this insults me on a number of levels. Why would you even bring that into this discussion?
Yep. Yep.
What does this have to do with justifying, trying to reassure our people that because you volunteered
Yeah. Yep.
at this, and for those that may not be familiar with the Tuskegee experiment, the government, right, came up with a plan to test venereal diseases, the effects of it on the black men in this area, right? And so what they did was they didn't tell them that they were injecting them with this disease.
Yeah. Yep.
And these men, they wanted to see what type of effects it would have on the people over time. You know what I mean? Over a long-term effect. And many of these men were married. They
Yep.
took this disease home to their wives. They took this disease within the community.
Yep.
So they purposely and did not tell these men that they were dealing with this disease that they injected.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
so this is alarming on a number of levels because, again, these people are allowing, basically, they basically are pushing this deception among our people.
Yep.
Well, wasn't there a sister nurse with the Tuskegee who was actually helping with the agenda?
Mm-hmm.
When you really look at that whole thing, she knew what was going on.
Yep. Yep.
And
And
these guys, I'm sorry, go ahead, Sister. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was agreeing with you. Yeah. Yep, you're pretty much right. They were true. I mean, they were aware. How and what's so not they but the nurses, they were aware, but if you look at the down effect of it, and you brought up a great point, was the families that were impacted. Because if anybody knows anything about syphilis, one thing syphilis will do is send you into a you almost go into a psychotic, you have a psychotic breakdown right before you die. It causes you to have because I think one of I think I've heard in many cases that they have mental breakdowns and they pretty much lose their minds. It attacks their minds.
Yeah.
It eventually breaks their bodies down, but they go into almost a nervous breakdown before they die.
Yeah. And it does a lot to not just the mind, but all kinds of when you start getting into neurology and as far as the side effects with your nervous system and it's a lot that comes with that territory.
Yeah.
It does a lot of damage. And and just think about just the scheme that they came up with, and what many are not aware, rather, is the fact that they did this during slavery.
Yeah.
They were taking our ancestors and using them as guinea pigs. They were doing all kinds of scientific experiments on them.
Yeah.
Because why? We didn't have rights.
Yep.
We were considered beasts, animals.
Yep. And the
We were. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
interesting part is they still see us like that. You just hopped off. They still see us like that. That's why they feel like it's fine to experiment with us. We lost him. He'll come right back. Something he either dropped or something. Hold on. Well, while we're waiting, let me let y'all see the article.
Hi.
Hold on. Let me get the article up.
It's Stacey Abrams.
Hold on. Cue this up real quick and make sure. Okay. I'll let y'all see the article as well. Well, the news report that came from the local news there about this. Hold on. Here it is. All right. Try and get this.
Months away from an early vaccine for COVID-19. Trials are happening now in our region. In fact, the presidents of Xavier and Dillard, both historically Black universities, are part of that testing, and they want others to think about joining as well. But as Danny Monteverdi reports, that is not sitting well with some who remember a sordid history with vaccines and the African-American community.
Walter has another responsibility these days on top of leading Dillard University.
And then once a week, they'll send you a reminder that you have this app on your phone and they ask you about basic, how you're feeling is real quick.
Kimbrough is among 200 people locally taking part in a study of a possible COVID-19 vaccine. That vaccine is being developed by Pfizer and BioNTech. Ochsner is overseeing the local participants. The study is taking place at 120 sites around the world. Kimbrough says there's a reason he felt the need to take part.
I mean, we just finally in the state now have where most of the people who've died in the state are not African American. But if African Americans are 33% of the state, but 48% of the deaths, that's a problem.
Some say Blacks and Latinos have been customarily left out of clinical trials, which might mean problems down the road. Xavier University President Reynold Verrett urged Kimbrough to volunteer for the vaccine trial after he signed up for it.
You don't want to find out, surprise, there's a side effect in African Americans that you would not have noticed.
Victoria Smith is a doctor at Ochsner, as well as a participant in the study.
Especially because we've seen COVID affect African Americans and Latinos disproportionately. I think it's so key for African Americans and Latinos to be part of the studies.
Dr. Julia Garcia Diaz, Ochsner's principal investigator, agrees.
And so you want diversity because not everybody responds the same, not just to vaccines, but to therapeutics or the medications. So it's just overall, it makes a difference.
In a letter to their students, Verrett and Kimbrough write, as presidents of historically Black colleges and universities, we do recall unethical examples of medical research. We remember the Tuskegee syphilis study, which misused and caused harm to African Americans and other people of color, undermining trust in health providers and caretakers. But that has resulted in a backlash from some parents on social media. One parent posted on Xavier's Facebook page, "Our children are not lab rats for drug companies. I can't believe Xavier is participating in this. This is very disturbing given the history of drug trials in the Black and brown communities." Another said, "History does not support our offering up our young, bright, beautiful bodies as experiments to save, not them. As a parent, I'm deeply troubled."
Well, people are afraid. They think about Tuskegee, and I understand all of that. But there have to be some people to make sure that it works for everybody.
Time will tell. Danny Monteverdi, Eyewitness News.
The university to think about joining as well.
It works for everybody.
I'm sorry.
Time will tell. Danny Monteverdi, Eyewitness News.
The university president said they are doing fine. If you would like to be considered for the voluntary trial, email covidvaccine@oxnard.org.
Now, close this up. It kind of stated the same thing when you read the, I think it was the same letter you read.
Yeah.
the good thing is this, I will say that the parents are stepping up and saying it's a no-go for us.
Yeah.
This has made us as parents, myself being a parent of a student is going to an HBCU, not those, but going to one, to really be concerned. Is this going to reach the others? Is it just going to be Xavier? Why hasn't the public white colleges been included in this? If you notice, the people on the I guess the different representatives, the doctor, everybody was a minority, what we consider to be a minority, because you had a Hispanic woman, you had the Black woman, and you had the two Black men who are the presidents of those colleges, speaking, kind of pushing people from our community to take the vaccine. And they're worried about side effects. Well, there are other ways of trying to test other aspects of this with animals and not us. And they want to use us as if we're animals. And like I said, the biggest concern is, as a parent, I'm going to be watching emails, because again, these emails that we get at times go straight to the kids and we don't see it because they consider them to be adults. And because they consider them to be adults, they're not real quick to engage us. But I'm glad, like I said, when I first ran across it, it was a student that saw that it was alarming, and she decided to do an Instagram post. And the good thing is we have social media. They can't do anything backdoored anymore. It can be exposed just as fast as they send the email. So
yeah, and what's interesting too is I talked about this months ago about what was going to be the dangers in this and what they were going to do.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember us talking about this, that hey, we have to make sure that when our kids go off to school, because technically they're legal, they're 18 years old. And, on campuses, they have their own medical staff and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so warning and making sure that we as parents are involved in the whole situation, to make sure that we're talking to our kids as well, not to make decisions, or if something is presented to them, that they bring it to us.
Yeah.
And so we're actually talking to a 17-year-old who's soon to become a college student, about, the do's and don'ts, from credit cards that's being sent to them, all the way to this right here, decisions like this. Yeah. And like I said, it's just troublesome on a number of levels.
Yeah. And again, and that's that whole thing of, you're adults, we'll communicate with the students. No, you're not. And that's something that I think we were talking about, and I think my daughter and, your kids as well, do have such a relationship, and they understand the importance of engaging us, that they are not going to just sign up for something for the sake of. What's funny is my daughter said, well, if they're going to bring it there, I can sit it out a year. I said, yes, you can, because my biggest concern is the students that don't want to take it. What are they going to do to them? Are they going to tell them they can't come for the semester or the school year? Or is it going to be an option of, if you want to, I don't even think it's going to be an option. I think it's going to get to a point where they're going to be like, you have to take this vaccine to be able to go to school, to do anything. And they're starting with our kids, and they're going to keep it quiet on the side effects. Even their president, he's going to keep it quiet. They're not going to allow him to speak on that. But I just hate how our community will allow our kids to be the guinea pigs.
And what troubles me as well is this narrative that this virus affects our community more than any other community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very deceptive lie. And I'll say that, I can say that with confidence and boldness. That is a deceptive lie.
Yep.
Especially when you start looking at all the moving parts.
Yep.
I've got pastors that have reached out to me about having members, families that have died, and they know it was not the coronavirus, but it was labeled the coronavirus, on the death certificates, because hospitals now have charge over the death certificates. They even get monies if they treat people that have let's just say challenged with the medical benefits and all that stuff. They get money per corona case.
Yep.
And
Yep.
all they have to do is to say, hey, this person died of the coronavirus. I
Mhm.
mean, and and I have to look at it too. I gotta pull up some information on the CDC, even stating that many of the cases are not even coronavirus that was actually labeled the coronavirus.
Yeah.
But what are some of the moving parts within it? Most of our people don't have high quality health care.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell you the stories about many of our people that went to doctors and were sent home.
Yeah.
Were sent home.
Yeah.
You know, so it's so many layers to it. And I tell you, I shared shared my screen, but I put some notes from a PowerPoint that I've been teaching for a while now, for years. But I was working on a video called Pandemonium. I got 40, I want to say about 40 minutes of it done, but then I got sidetracked in some other things. But this is some of the notes that's going to be inside that video are showing the history of these viruses, that these viruses have patents on it. They are on this coronavirus is not a brand new virus. It's been around. And I can show you with some of the other viruses who have patents on each virus.
Wow.
Patents on each virus. So when we start studying what happened with what they call it, what was that flu that happened back in the
Swine
20s?
flu?
Not the swine flu. I got it in this presentation, but I think it was Spanish flu, right? The Spanish flu, which is actually all connected to this virus, right? It's not a new virus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, our community was least affected by this virus.
Yep.
We had the worst health care, right? We had all of these different things that was going against our community. But then guess what? You know, same thing that was happening. Even in Africa, all of a sudden, now they're bringing all kinds of vaccines to Africa. When you saw the numbers up until a few months ago, Africa was the least affected by the virus.
Yeah.
They began to now shipping vaccines, trying to make this the concern. Yeah. Bill Gates kept saying Africa, Africa. Now, I'm not saying that none of the people back in the during the time in our communities did not catch this virus, but it did not affect us as much as it did other communities. And that was one of the things that was troublesome. They were trying to figure out why did it affect us the least, and we had the worst health care. We didn't have the same things that they have. And even today, it's the same thing. And when you start looking at the dynamics of what was happening, and even the faultiness of the test, everything is being labeled coronavirus.
Correct.
Period. Especially among our community.
Correct. And the thing is, and you brought up a great point, and I remember seeing that the death toll or the number of deaths and infections of the Spanish flu, it was not in the Black community. And that's something that has puzzled them, that when we have an epidemic, even when we get it, we kind of shake it off. Me and you were having a great conversation a while back about a lot of us who thought we had it. I went to the doctor, they gave me, Z-Pack, and I think that's the steroids, and I was good, and I left, and I hadn't been sick since then. But I think before it got out of control, but a lot of us were sick back in October and November and didn't know what it was. But I think they're using this as a means to fulfill whatever they need to fulfill within the Black community, because we have been the hottest topic since the beginning of the epidemic.
Exactly.
I love the fact of Lisa Cabrera did a news report. She's from our community. She's more so heavy into news. But she kind of did some numbers to show that, and he even mentioned it, we're not the largest community. They're using our numbers to balloon it. They are going to the cities that are heavily populated with Black people. But they don't want to look at the other cities like Iowa. It has an outbreak right now. Iowa right now is almost at a point where they're getting ready to do another lockdown. I saw that recently, but they mentioned it one time on CNN, and after that, you didn't hear it anymore. But they're forever talking about Detroit, Chicago. Well, Chicago's not that bad, I don't think. I think Chicago's gotten kind of a handle on it. Interesting part in Tennessee, even though Memphis has the biggest numbers, Memphis has the largest Black community. So it might be 100 of us, but because, or let's say it's 1,000 of us, the number is going to look higher in Memphis because of the head count in Memphis. But if you look at the other cities, you may have a city, because it may be 1,000 of us in a city with 1 million. They're going to talk about that. You know how they skew those percentages, but then you go to a town that has 2,000 people and 1,700 of them are sick. And those are predominantly white neighborhoods, cities. But they've been messing with these numbers for a good little minute, and they're doing it even more. And really, I believe they're trying to get in there. They want to experiment with us. So.
Absolutely. And even just on that note, and this is where we have to really wake up. You know, when we start talking about the awakening, we're really stating that how we're going to start waking up and becoming aware of the things that surround us. And that's what we, as a people, we really need to start becoming aware. What happened to my screen here? Let me put it back up here. All right. This tool is acting kind of quirky here. Is it a coincidence that it's acting quirky? Let me stop. Let me stop my conspiracies.
Wait a minute. Let me check something, because let me check something. Hold on. Because my screen does weird stuff at times. Let's see. Let me test something. Can you see my screen? Okay, you can see my screen.
I can see yours.
Okay. I wonder why yours went.
Yeah, it did something weird, but I'm gonna bring it up here again. Let's see here. Let me make sure that, it's right there. All right. Because I was gonna highlight something with the with these diseases, and I need to hurry up and get that finished. Is this it right here? Let me see. That's not it. I guess it'll help if I close some of my windows out. I'm a ultimate techie, have like 5,000
Windows. Yep.
windows open. Matter of fact, let me close some of this out and I'm going to share it again. Let me see. Because I mean, literally, I got probably about 50 windows open.
Oh, I can believe it. I do it all the time. Let
me see here. Let me close this out. Because, when we start looking at the different drugs, right? I used to work for a pharmaceutical company too, a couple of them actually. I worked for Pfizer, which was actually took over Park Davis. And I worked there for years and learned a lot on certain things that they would do and how they will market drugs. For example, like many people don't know, when you look at Benadryl, for example, how we think that there's special medicines for cold and flu season and, allergies and all of that. Well, guess what? It is the exact medicine. Just package it differently.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
The cold and flu is the same as the allergy medicines that you see.
Wow.
If you put it right next to each other, you will see that it is actually the exact same. So I learned some of those things, when I was in, working for Park Davis, which was an extension of Warner Lambert. And then it went from Warner Lambert to Pfizer doing a hostile takeover. I also worked for Whitehall Robbins. I work, I work for some pharmaceutical companies.
Okay.
So, and this is where we need to really wake up and start really paying attention to the things that we are dealing with right now. Yep. They know what's going on. And I don't want to sound like we're being conspiracy theorists, but we're not. It's just that they've been very strategic, and they know how to attack those that are speaking against it.
Yep.
Right.
If you
Go
notice, I don't mean to jump in. You notice back in the day, people, especially people in our community, was making a lot of money in pharmaceutical sales.
Yeah.
And we were hitting some of the doctors we've dealt with in our community, not all of them, but some. And I mean, Black folks was making a killing. Like, I know a lot of them that are now retired because of pharmaceutical sales. But what they were doing was taking those medicines and pushing it on the doctors to go try this. And they use salesmen to sell a product that they're going to be aggressive in their sales so they can make money. So they can't vet out what's good and what's not good. It's all about a sale.
Exactly. And what many people don't know, doctors get paid money from the pharmaceutical companies to prescribe medicines.
Yep.
They get bonuses and all of that.
Yep.
You know, and one thing you touched on, and I know for sure that coronavirus went through our ministry, right? My wife had it. I know she had it back in January. And just so happened we start off, we always start off when we transitioning into this year. Of course, we go through the Hebrew calendar as well. We do fast according to that as well. But anyway, we start off, we did a 3-week fast, right? And we did that. Actually, we started it in I believe it was the second week of January.
Yeah.
And my wife literally, all of a sudden she had these, the coughing that wouldn't stop. And, our daughter, same thing. And other people's within the ministry, some of them had that same symptoms, and they went to the doctors, and the doctors could not tell them what it was.
Yep.
They literally was saying that it's some type of respiratory thing, but they told them that for the most part, it just had to run its course. Yep. Now, me and our younger daughter didn't get affected. Why? Because, I'm from the old school. We drink a lot of honey teas, hot cereals and things like that. And kind of find out when you do the lookup and do the research on it, they tell you hot tea, hot teas and, and honey can make a world of a difference. And not saying that you can't get it, but will help with your breathing, help with your congestion. And as I researched it, a lot of the problems with the breathing machines, what they call it, I forgot what they call it, the respiratory machines, whatever they use it. Yeah. Those things, if it's not applied correctly, can cause pneumonia.
Yeah.
And so many people are starting to have pneumonia. Yep. And die from pneumonia, not dying from the disease, but dying from pneumonia because a lot of the mistakes have happened with using those respiratory machines. So it's so many layers to it. And I know for sure it already hit here. It's been here. And then when it came out to saying that they believed that it was back in November when the virus began to surface, it confirmed it. We already knew that virus we already got hit by that virus. It wasn't the flu because they made it clear it wasn't the flu.
Yep.
But now everything is being labeled to the corona. But it already swept through our ministry, and I know that for sure. And again, my wife had it. A couple of the ministers had it. One of our ministers had it. It hit him pretty hard. I mean, really hard. And he was out of work for a couple of weeks. Literally. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when it hit me, it hit so fast and so hard. I had never been sick that fast. Sometimes you gradually usually when I have the flu, and I rarely have the flu, it'll hit and it'll hit for like 1 or 2 days and then it'll taper off. This right here, I noticed, I said, I'm going a week into this and I'm still sick. And every single time I think I was better, I'll get sick again. And it was like, I was like, I've never, and the doctor was like, I don't know what that is. It just may be the flu. She couldn't even figure, when she did the flu test, it wasn't flu. So she was like, I don't know what this is. And she actually only called it pneumonia, not because of a germ test, but more so she had to x-ray my lung. She did an x-ray of my lungs and saw a lot of spots on my lung, and it was mucus. and she had to give, the medicine for it. She said, you have pneumonia. And she said, in fact, I need for you to go home right now. She said, and keep in mind, this was 2 weeks into it. This wasn't day one. I had been sick almost 2 weeks before I went to the doctor. It was about a week or 2 weeks. It was almost, if it wasn't 2 weeks, it was at least a week into it, that it was still just that bad. So.
Wow. And this is what I put up on the screen too, just to kind of tie into everything that we're dealing with. Because remember that drug, what is it called? K2?
Yeah, K2, yep.
That's been sweeping the nation, for years on top of years. I want to highlight this article here. And this is part of the documentary that I've been meaning to put out there called Pandemonium. But I'm going to read this here just so that people can understand the pharmaceutical companies' participation in putting a lot of the drugs inside our community. They call this like the zombie drug. Remember when, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, how it was like an epidemic. They were showing in New York how the people were looking like zombies.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was like 30 or 40 of them OD. This is the source of that stuff. I'm gonna read this real quick, and then I'll show something about the different viruses and see how they are related. But this is coming from the Daily Beast. It says this: in 1979, 3 researchers at Pfizer, the pharmaceutical giant, came up with a synthetic cannabinoid, right? A drug that in some ways acts similarly, to the active ingredient in marijuana. What the company did with this research, it won't say. But decades later, a designer drug marked as fake pot began to emerge, first in Europe, later in America, that went on to be blamed for contributing to tens of thousands of trips to the emergency room. 1 out of the 5 active substances in that fake pot, also known as spice or K2, was the synthetic cannabinoid, right? First discovered at Pfizer. It goes on to say, but drug research often walks a fine line between medicine and recreation, making the history between drug abuse and big pharma closer than the latter would like to admit. Pfizer's connection to K2 would by no means be the first major drug to have roots in commercial enterprises. Heroin is considered by many to be a Bayer trademark. LSD was invented by Sandoz. Merck developed MDMA, but never used it in humans. But if Pfizer's role in the latest designer drug mess is known, it's only by a handful of people. The DA is surprised to hear, this is where they start trying to cover up, because pharmaceutical is that, they're really big business. Look at Bill Gates. Bill Gates decided to invest, $10 billion into it. And look at it, he's made at least $250 billion off of this, off of vaccines.
Yep.
Right. And so the other thing I just want to show real quick is the coronavirus. I just want to deal with just some simple resources that people could look up themselves. This is the Webster's dictionary definition of the coronavirus. And this is what's interesting. It says what? Any of a family of single-stranded RNA viruses that have a lipid envelope studded with club-shaped projections infects birds and many mammals, including humans, and include the causative agents of MERS and SARS. See how it connects to that? MERS and SARS. All right. Let's see what MERS says. This is a site you could go to yourself, atcc.org. And this will tell you about many of the viruses and who had patents on what. I'm a geek. I told you that's some of the things that I specialized in is investigations. And, but anyway, you could write this down, everyone that's watching, and you can see that I am not making this stuff up. You can buy these strands, right? People don't know that. You can buy a strand of the AIDS virus, and you could just say it's for research, right? So Look at this right here. It says this right here. All right. Quantitative synthetic Middle East respiratory syndrome. That's what MERS is. What it says, Middle East respiratory syndrome.
Yep.
You see that right here. And it gives you, it says manufactured under ISO 1348 guidance. Right. So guess what? That tells you that it's owned.
Yep.
Right? It's owned. It has a patent on it. But let's go further here. Right. It says here, right? Culture of a novel TGEV related to porcine respiratory, it's giving you more information, but look at how it's classified, right? But here's the kicker. Inventors. Look at those inventors. Wait a minute. Why are they called inventors?
Yep.
You see the names there. They have a patent. You see where it says family ID, application number, filed November 10th, 1992.
So it's been in the population since 92. Yeah.
You see where I'm going at with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It goes on to say, when we see some more of the information, it says this strand provides a biological pure culture of a novel pathogenic porcine respiratory coronavirus, PRCV, and a vaccine derived there from effective against, derived there from effective against PRCV infection, right? And it goes on to tell you about, the rest of it as far as how it's transmitted. But here it goes right here. The virus produced a moderate pneumonia in what? Pigs.
Yep.
But look at the bottom of it. The material is cited in U.S. and other patent. And look at what it says right there. They have a patent on this.
Yep.
Money is made off of this.
Yep.
So when they come up with vaccines, guess who get a portion of that? These people that own the patent.
Correct. Zika.
Look at this. Look at this about the Zika virus. Remember the Zika virus?
Yep. That was
who owns it? Rockefeller. Look at this. This is coming from that same site. I'll put this on. Oh man, I got some of my letters in the way. But look at it. What did it say? Name of this depositor. Whose name do you see there?
Yep.
And I'll just do my highlights here. But look at what it says. 1947, Uganda. So it's been around. It's been around. Look, I mean, I'm not going to go into all the details, but look at what you see here. It's been around. It says what? Distributed by ATCC since when? 1953.
Yep. Yep.
Here's Webster Dictionary definition of H1N1. And guys, this is public information. It says a virus that is a subtype H1N1, right? And it goes on to say I'm not even gonna butcher these names here. I'm not gonna mess it up tonight. All right. But you get it, right? But it goes on to say this infects what? Birds, pigs, humans. And that includes strands which may occur in seasonal epidemics or sometimes pandemics. Guess what? The Hong Kong flu. Look at this, right? I mean, it's been there and it still falls up under this strand.
Yeah.
Look what it says. Responsible for about 34,000 deaths, right? Look at it. 1968 to 1969. Then we have the Spanish flu. Look at how it's still there. All H1N1, right?
Yeah.
See how it's all related here. And I'm not making this up. AIDS. Look at this right here. Researchers believe that sometimes in the 1930s, a form of simian immune deficiency virus, SIV, jumped to humans who butchered or ate chimpanzees, chimpanzee bushmeat, in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The virus becomes HIV-1, the most widespread form today. But it says in 1959, the world's first known case of AIDS. Wait a minute. This is 1959.
Mm-hmm.
They said the world's first known AIDS case.
Yep.
Right. And look at where it says it still points to what? Africa. But I could go even further with some other stuff that with this here. But look at the history of it, right? 1960s, which is restricted to West Africa, still giving us more information on here. But it says a genetic analysis of HIV in 2003 suggests that it may have first arrived in the United States about 1968. Right. So where's the other portion of it? I think I didn't. This is my PowerPoint, so I think I didn't put it all in here. But I even have the owners of the HIV who has the patent on that too.
And when you look at the story of HIV, and I saw this documentary, they tried to say that it was the meat that they ate.
Yeah.
What I found out it wasn't the meat. They use like muscle tissue from chimpanzees to make vaccines. To make this vaccine serum. And when I saw it, and I'm gonna have to go back and see it. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it because I have it saved on my Amazon account. And it was a documentary, and they were testing the polio vaccine.
Yeah.
And what happened was they were using these contaminated chimpanzees and injecting the polio vaccine into the African people over there, or the people over in the Congo, and the people started popping up with this type of virus. And they hadn't had to put a name on it yet. They just knew how the virus was killing. I mean, it was going through the people, but it was being tested by way of a vaccine. And they got infected over there. And that's why I'm looking like, this is interesting. I got to go back and look at it. And I might look at it and then talk about it sometime this week. But it did explain the history from that. And it was a very interesting documentary. It was a part of the meat as well. But I think the other part was that vaccine. And they used, like I said, the tissues of the chimpanzee to make the vaccine.
Wow. And I think that's something that we can, bring to the people that's important, because we are targeted. Mm-hmm. It's in the scriptures, that we would be targeted.
Yeah.
A key chapter, I think I have it in this presentation, of what was warned about, what Revelation warns about is actually, let me see here. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. And then let me see here. It's let's see, the healthcare system. Yeah, let me show you this real quick. Revelation chapter 18, verse 21, not 21. That's not what I'm looking for. I think it's Revelation chapter, I thought it was 15. Let me see here. I'm just trying to look real quick. And you'll see all of this is prophesied in scripture. In the scriptures, all of what we see on display here is prophesied in the scriptures, right? About this system here. Let's see here. Revelation chapter 17, verse 14 through 15. Let me pull it up here so you can see. But this is a discussion that we need to have. I mean, big time, because our communities are being used as guinea pigs. But this is what Revelation says. It says, "These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful." It goes on to say, "And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples." So saying that the waters are what? Symbolic of what? The people. Mm-hmm. And it says in multitudes and nations and tongues, right? But it says, "These shall make war." So when this particular war, when did this particular war begin? When we still really understanding this, and I'm not going to get into all of this as far as with the martial law, but guess what? When you go further and read this chapter here, guess what? It's showing how the system of man, right? The systems that we already have in place is going to be what? Challenged by a bigger system, a bigger form of religion. Let me see if it's here. No, it's not here. But anyway, guess what? Guess what? That new religion that the Bill Gates and all of them, the pharmaceutical companies are pushing. Healthcare. Healthcare is the system that, guess what, trumped Christianity. Healthcare is the system that trumped the Roman Catholicism. Healthcare, that's become a religion among all people now around the world. Healthcare, that is the religion.
Yep. Yep.
And that's what this is talking about, a system that's going to literally, really knock down the system that was implemented. Let me see here. I didn't put the whole chapter here, but if you take a look at it, you can see that the scripture talks about this. It talks about this. And this chapter is really powerful because it really shows some of the things that the enemy will do. That the enemy will do. And I was trying to get to the full chapter here, but and I'll turn it over to you. But yeah, it was, let's see here. What does it say here? Yeah, it goes further. Yeah, when you read the fullness of it, you'll see where I'm going at with it. It says, in the 10 horns which thou sawest upon a beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn with her with fire. And God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdoms unto the beast. That's what this is dealing with. It's saying that there is a system that's going to trump Christianity, that's going to trump Catholicism, that's going to trump Judaism. And guess what it is? Healthcare. Bill Gates is their high priest. You know what I mean? The doctors are their what? Ministers.
Yep.
And look at what they're doing to all the communities.
Yep.
That system shut down the entire world. And now have everyone dependent on it. And that's what it is. Healthcare. Think about it, sis. You know, for the most part, you didn't I'm sure you didn't have to really deal with any major health challenges like I haven't. You know, I didn't have to deal with it. But now you look at healthcare, you can, you know, if you don't work for the government, right, you could be paying anywhere from $8 to $1,200 a month on healthcare monthly, just on the monthly deductibles. And then you pay this monthly payment on this at your jobs. Then you still have to come up with what every year of $5,000 to $7,000 deductible before it actually kicks in. So look at the hustle right there.
Yeah.
So in 1 year, you're paying at least $12,000 into a system that you still have to on top of that, deal with a yearly deductible of $7,000 to $10,000, and then you still got to come up with a flex account to try to offset some of that money right there.
You're right.
It's witchcraft, as someone pointed here, and the word witchcraft is what? The Greek word pharmacia.
Yep. Yep. You're right. You're right. And there was a day that, like I said, when they had that floodgate of pharmaceutical sales, that's when Big Pharma really had a clutch on the community, because they didn't have to no longer sell their products. They had people selling their products. And I used to always wonder, how are these people making, like, at any point in time, 6 figures?
Yeah.
Well, 6 figures wasn't like now. I mean, people making, but when 6 figures was a big thing. I mean, buying houses but the thing is, Big Pharma was paying people to be the spokesperson and making money off of it. And the doctors started pushing, medicines that are now, not just impacting our communities, but impacting others. You start to see the rise of the opioid addiction. You see the rise of the ADHD medicine. And people don't realize that ADHD medication is a gateway drug going into other drugs, because when they get older, they come off the medicine, but still become dependent upon that drug. So most kids that I know that were ADHD, they got the medicine from Ritalin and all the rest of them. They're now drug addicts because they are addicted to taking some type of some type of drug to be able to make it day to day. So pharma has put pretty much a spell on the whole entire world. So, yep, I agree with you.
And that's why I put the definition up here so that people can see the Greek word pharmakia, right? That's where it transliterates to what? Pharmacy. You see medication, pharmacy, magic, sorcery, witchcraft. And this is all in the scriptures. So this is one form of witchcraft. What are some of the other forms of witchcraft? Estrogen. Yeah. Look at what's happening inside this presentation, also inside the documentary that I've been working on. I just got to get back on point with it to get it out there. But I literally highlight the estrogen that is in waters. They found fish right? I'll pull it up here. You're gonna laugh, not laugh. You're gonna be surprised. I'm about to say you're gonna laugh at this. No, you're gonna be surprised that what I show you. Here it is, right here, right? Because this presentation is pretty explosive. The works of the professional witch doctors, the chemicals used to emasculate the men is estrogen. And the question is, what is estrogen? Here it is. Estrogen is an entire class of related hormones that includes estradiol, estrone, right? Estradiol is made from the placenta. It's produced during pregnancy. Estradiol or diol is the primary sex hormone of childbearing women. It is formed from developing ovarian follicles. Estradiol or diol, or however you want to pronounce it, is responsible for female characteristics and sexual functioning.
Wow.
Estrone is widespread throughout the body. It is the main estrogen present after menopause. But how does it impact men? Here it is right here. This is coming from the National Geographic. Why are male fish growing eggs? Right? It says here, scientists from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services and the U.S. Geological Survey studied fish in 19 national wild refuges in the U.S. Northeast, including Mississippi. Their conclusion: an astonishing 60 to 100% of all male smallmouth bass they examined had female egg cells growing in their testes. Over the past decades, feminized male fish have been discovered in 37 species in lakes and rivers throughout North America. That should make you worry right there. Experts say the new discovery in protected wildlife refuges is worrisome because it suggests that pollutions may be even more pervasive than previously thought. All right. And I'm just reading the highlight. I want to go to geek mode here. When fish are getting intersex, it's probably a good indication that something is wrong in the environment. Yes. So they already know this. And it goes on to say here, this is Chesapeake Bay. This is talking about the whole Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, all the, going all the way down to North Carolina. Intersex males don't look outwardly different than normal males. In fact, federal scientists uncovered the condition by accident in the Chesapeake Bay watershed in 2003. They discovered male smallmouth bass, right, with female egg cells.
Wow.
So how does that affect us, right? When you drink the water and eat the fish, I'm not going to go through this. This is other areas to show you that they already know what this thing is, right? And just real quick right here, while estrogen is generally known as a female sex hormone, but a man's body also produces small amounts of estrogen, which is important for normal development and function of the male reproductive system. But here's the kicker. However, an abnormally high level of estrogen can have major effects on a man's body, possibly interfering with his fertility and sexual function, and potentially raising his risk of certain chronic diseases, fertility problems, and here's the kicker: breast enlargement.
Oh, wow.
See, these are some of the things that they don't tell you about. And estrogen is in a lot of the water system. And so what began to happen, have you ever seen like I said, I pay attention to the details during the morning, during the evening, especially on MSNBC News and some of the news outlets, they promote all kinds of drugs and everything. But then in the morning, you see what the lawsuits. If you have taken this right here, right, you could be entitled to monies. And one of them is what? Estrogen. Because boys and men began to develop breasts, right?
Yep.
And this is what is used, what they do when they're changing trying to call themselves changing the sex of a man. They give them estrogen shots. So that way they begin to grow breasts and began to have a feminine behavior. It also, what they don't tell you, that it can mess with their their psychology. They start being very inconsistent emotionally.
Yep.
They have anger issues and all kinds of stuff. So it's all through. When I say it's all around us, it's all around us, and most of us don't have a clue that it's here.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because I even heard with someone said canned foods and processed foods, they have to be careful as well.
Yeah, and that's what we do here. We very conscientious about what we eat, and especially when you start dealing with processed foods and all of that. But where is most of the processed food sent to?
Our neighborhoods.
Our community.
Yep, our grocery
See, that's
store.
why we know that the Most High have his hands on our people.
Yep.
Most of our relatives eating potted meat. That potted meat is terrible. Potted meat, Vienna sausages, all these different things. Think about what they're doing to our community, right? Yep. If you really want to suppress a community, right, you shut down this economic system, right? You make sure that you start taking away supermarkets. And now what are they doing? They removing supermarkets and putting the dollar stores.
And the cash savers and all that.
Exactly. So when in these dollar stores, who do you see mostly going into them? They in our community.
Yep.
They have this junk food inside them.
Correct.
And so our people, because the economic suppression of the community, many people don't have a lot of resources. So they go to where? To the dollar store because it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the pharmaceuticals, if you live in, let's just say, a Black neighborhood per se, and you have a prescription, don't get that prescription in your own neighborhood. Yep. Get it prescribed in their neighborhood. Yep. Because a lot of the drugs are outdated and old.
Yep, you're right. You're right. And what's so interesting, even with their grocery stores, the food is different. Even when you're dealing with the major chains that are usually planted in some neighborhoods, they base their sales off of demographics. So whatever you see in the store in the Black neighborhood, you won't see in the other neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Me and my daughter, we've always just pretty much shopped, not just in those neighborhoods, because we've shopped in ours as well. But we have noticed, like when you walk into some grocery stores in our neighborhoods, you can smell the bad meat or food right before you even step foot in the door. And you can smell it, and it's like, why am I smelling this bad meat outside of the store before I enter? And some of the meat they have just put out, but it's not fresh. But when you go to other ones in their neighborhoods, it's much cleaner and much fresher. So yeah.
And one thing that I go off the philosophy of that, and my mother-in-law, she said, it's better to spend more for your food now than spend more on your health later.
Correct.
So because what happens is we start juggling. Oh man, you mean to tell me it's going to cost, let's just say $5 for a fresh, gallon of milk. I'm just using milk, for example, versus that pasteurized or whatever or let's just say, meats, whatever you're eating. Yep. It costs $5 for that versus me just going over here. Man, we do our food is fresh. We make sure that we go to the farmers markets and all, to get our vegetables. We eat nothing but fresh foods. You won't see any canned stuff in our house of that we're eating. Everything is fresh. We don't do the pork. We rarely do beef. But for the most part, the only meats that we do eat, if we do eat meat, is, we do the lamb, and the chickens that we get is straight from the farmers that we had that we're cool with in our community. So we very conscientious of it. So I tell you, unfortunately, many of our people are, because of the economic suppression in our communities, have default to many of this the foods that are bad for us.
Yep. Well, we got to learn. I think this generation is a little bit more privy, and even going into the next generation being, our kids, they're a little bit more, I want to say they can they have access to more information to make good decisions when it comes to food. Good thing is when my daughter was coming up, I never fed a lot of processed food. If I did anything, did a lot of vegetables. And I've always tried to watch and maintain the things that we ate, because you are what you eat. And it's true. It's true. So yeah.
And it's unfortunate. And I have the scripture up here for those to make a note of it, because Paul says in Galatians, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry. But here's the kicker. He says witchcraft. So, when we look at witchcraft, just what we pointed out, pharmacia, right? We see that it's right there in the scriptures. Not pharmacia, pharmakia. Is right there in the scriptures. And Paul, not just Paul, but all through the scriptures, the Hebrew Israelite Messiah warned about these things, and they talked about this a number of times. It says, as I have also told you in time past. In other words, they've been warning the people, and when you understand that word iniquity, and I want to pull it up real quick, guys, the scriptures says iniquity means violation of what? The law. Wickedness, transgression of what? The law. Violation of what? The law. And we just think that the law is just narrowed down to the 10 commandments, but there's laws that the Most High put in place for us, like the laws of physics, the laws of, what I mean? Yep. I mean, it's a lot of laws that are in place. And what's happening? Witchcraft is causing what? Many to what? Change the laws. Change the laws, not just with the 10 commandments, and not just with the commandments of the Most High, far as those commandments, the obvious commandments, but even the commandments of how we deal with vegetation, how we deal with animals, what to eat and what not to eat.
Yep. And there was a reason why, certain things, it was not, people like, oh, you shouldn't, like some things were, because this is his world. This is how he was telling us to take care of his land. How to get the most out of your crops, how to do this. And people are just like, but that's a whole nother conversation within itself.
Yeah. And I just, I put up here too, the Hebrew word of it, and it says here, of course, it's the modern right here. It says ava, right? Depending on how you pronounce the Y, whether it's a va or Y. But anyway, I ain't getting into all of that. But look at what it says: to crooked, make crooked, pervert, do perversely, do wickedly, do wrong. But here's the kicker: the first input under this, the entry there, to bend, twist, and distort.
Yep. And
we see a lot of that happening in all the laws of the Most High, from his commandments that we see all the way to what? Nature, to the laws of what? That constitute marriage, the laws of what? What constitute men being men, women being, we see all of his laws he put in place are being what? Affected. Yeah. Being bent, twisted, and distorted.
Yep, you're right. You're right. And this is why they try not to talk about it, because it does bring things in right relationship with them, and they don't want to be in right relationship. So, but I told people, I said, this is why you see in the Black church more heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, but yet and still saying we're not supposed to follow, the dietary laws. But I'm tired of going to funerals because people are not, young people, not older people, young people are diagnosed with high blood pressure. And when I say young, you're not supposed to be 40 years old dealing with diabetes, or better yet, 18 and 19 years old, a diabetic or high blood pressure, or hypertension, all that. It's getting worse, younger and younger, but yet and still we're not watching what we're putting in our bodies. So, and I'm even speaking to myself that I'm about to make a major shift in how I eat, because I understand that, there's so much grace that the Most High can give me, and I eat whatever, eventually that body gonna start breaking down. And that's something that I've been wrestling with, but we have to be careful. You know,
I
that
tell you,
last time I had the flu, it scared me, and that let me know that I'm not as young as I used to be.
yeah. See, when you're younger, your body can really process a lot of
Mm-hmm.
garbage stuff, but as you get older, it does start wearing on your body. And I tell you one thing I would say, like with my wife, right? She can't eat beef now.
Oh,
We went on a 40-day fast years ago, and from that point on, she could not eat beef.
wow. Okay.
Right? We don't do pork in the house. We don't. The meats that you would see that we have is lamb, and the lamb that we get is not the stuff that you see in the regular supermarkets. We pay a lot of money for it, but it's well worth it. And again, it's a big difference of chicken that you buy inside the supermarket versus going to an actual farm and not seeing, and purchasing your chicken there and not seeing all those chemicals going into it. So again, it's just how we have to change our thinking. I mean, if you can have, let's just say, the internet and have all kinds of cable channels on it, the average household is spending $120 on entertainment just from the cable. Then
Yeah.
you should be able to at least modify your diet.
Yeah.
Modify your diet. Put some more put more money into your diet to say, hey, we're going to eat healthier. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, it's actually cheaper to eat healthier.
Correct.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
go to McDonald's and spending $15, you could take that $15 and get you something healthy.
Yep. You sure can. You really could. It's just a matter of getting out of. One thing I said I was going to do is take advantage of COVID. Uh, the fact that we all have to work from home. There was a day that we would be like, I don't have time to cook because I'm not at home. I can cook while I'm here. I can put something on and start working, doing my meetings, and then leave and check my food or whatnot. We have that now, and we need to take advantage of it. The ones that are working from home and start focusing on our health. It's like the Most High is giving us an opportunity to focus on some stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it. I have tons of fish in my freezer right now that I need to proceed and cook and quit eating. Like I said, this last scare, when I got sick the way I did, and I've never been sick like that, and COVID is going to resurface. People don't realize we're going back into the winter, and I got a feeling it's going to come with even more momentum. We have to watch our bodies. I'm getting ready to go buy some elderberry so I can take that every morning. Do the tea that you told me of. I got to get the name of that again because I want to order it as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get the name of it. I order mine from overseas. Actually, I got to put my orders in to last through the winter. But that's some of the things I recommend for those that are watching. Get you some blossom honey, right? Blossom honey, some peppermint tea, and just start drinking it during the season. That will make a world of a difference on your body being able to fight many of these diseases. When I was in the military, because I had to travel to a lot of foreign countries, right? And I'm not getting into the specifics of some of the details of what my responsibilities were, but they gave us books. They gave us instructions on how to take care of our health in some of the countries that we had to go to, because their healthcare and also when you go into third world countries, the water system is not the same. Their regulations it's not the same. So they taught us certain things on how to take care of our body. And that's when I learned in the military, like honey. The honey was used by the Egyptians and many other cultures when they went at war. Honey was used like Neosporin. And I actually tested. I put fresh honey on a scab, a scratch that I had, and put it under a Band-Aid, and it healed with no problems quickly. Right. So honey does a lot to the body. So you can use honey with make your teas out. If you want to put some lemon in it, put lemon in it. But you can also use cinnamon is another good thing to, have in top, including your diet during the summer. I mean, not summer, but during the winter times, if you're making some teas, get some fresh cinnamon. That makes a world of a difference. And those are some of the things that we do. But the biggest thing is get that honey. Get that that spearmint, that peppermint tea, and that's some of the things my grandmother, that's the old school. Only thing we don't do, we don't put the the brandy in it to make the hot toddy. You know what I mean? So, but I'm saying, but it does your body wonders. And
Mhm.
guess what? That's what over in Asia, many of the Orientals, they drink a lot of teas.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
so I just wanted to, on top of what you recommended, I recommended people, guess what? Drink some hot teas.
Yep.
And if you're dealing with allergies, guess what? Get blossom honey and start drinking it just before the allergy season. And mark my word, the allergy season will not affect you like it would normally do.
Yep.
And if you do feel your allergies coming on, I thought they were joking when I was in the military. If your throat start feeling a certain way, drink cold water. I was like, wait a minute, that's it, cold water? They said, yeah, you don't need all that other stuff. I'm trying to grab Benadryl and all that. They said, just drink a glass of cold water. If you're feeling congested, drink a glass of cold water. Cold water. It makes a world of a difference.
Oh wow. I've heard that before though, to drink cold water. I gotta check. Yeah, I gotta figure out. You like I said, is it orange blossom or is it just blossom honey?
Oh no, it's just blossom honey. I get it from you. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Elderberry as well, and we gotta start stocking up now because you know, I know some people have already started. I'm a late bloomer, so I'm just now starting. But we drink hot tea anyway in our house. We'll stand in a tea aisle for 30, 40 minutes looking at different teas. At one time I had a cabinet full of tea, and my daughter drinks it every night and every morning, hot tea. So I drink coffee, but I got to get off coffee, wean myself off of that and do more hot teas. The ginger, I used to keep raw ginger, but it's good to have that as well. Like I said, I'm gonna order me some some the blossom tea, the blossom honey you told me about. So
yeah, I'm trying to pull it up here right now. As you can see, I got computers all around me, like I'm on the Matrix or something. Let me see.
Oh, Sister Pam, I love that tea as well. We have that in the house. We have it right now. And loose leaf tea is very
Let's
good.
see. It's made by, is it coming up over here? Because it seemed like every time I recommend something, they jack the price up or it disappear.
Wow.
You know. But it's made by Brett Smear. What is it? Brett Smear. It's a German company. Yeah, Brett Smear. And they have blossom honey rather. Let me see here. Trying to pull up which one it is. Let's see. All right, let's see. Yeah, I'll get the link over to you because it's not coming up over here.
Okay.
What did I actually get? But like I said, blossom honey is the best, regardless of the flavor. But the blossom honey is the best. It tastes completely different. You know, we got away from all the sugars and everything because, you know, I was like, hey, I got to put sugar in my tea, man. This blossom honey, you don't need any sugar.
Oh wow.
You know, you don't need to put sugar in your tea. I don't ever put sugar in tea for years on top of years.
Oh,
right.
I think I found it. Okay. I found it. I'm gonna order some. We actually got some on Amazon. I'm gonna order some. We love that type of stuff in the house, like honey and tea, especially going into the winter. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, I just found it. Yeah, so I better get me some before the price goes back up because, you know, during seasons, you know, it can go up and down. So, and we getting ready to go into a critical season here. Start building that immune system up. You know what I mean? You know, also start adding fresh garlic to your diet because garlic does your body good. You know, so yeah, this one is Bretzmeyer Golden Honey Selection flip top jar. That's the one I normally get because it's a larger one. It's, as you see, it's 35.2 ounces. Right. That's the one that I normally get. And I'm going to order me 2 jars of this You know, while it's at this price here.
Oh, I see. I found it.
Yeah. So if you type in Brett's BREITSAMER Golden Selection Honey Flip Top Jar, you know, it looks like one of those jars that the old school would use for, you know, making their preservatives. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, you know, when I start thinking about the things my grandmother used to do with me and my brothers, because she had no other choice, man. You know, you're talking 14 of us living in a household, you know, a house. So she made sure we ate healthy. You know, we didn't go to the supermarket to buy meat. She went to a butcher, you know what I mean? And she went and she'll pick out the slab of beef and she'll say, hey, I want this chopped up this way. So it wasn't the processed stuff that we see in the stores that they're adding colors to it to give it that red look, you know? So yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the supermarkets. But yeah, going back to this right here, Brett's My Golden Honey Selection Honey, that right there, I guarantee you, if you take that with some peppermint tea, man, just one cup of that each night will do your body good. And also, other thing I want to point out too, I think you mentioned it about sunlight. And we had someone in our ministry. His name is Elder Hall, really good guy. You met Elder Hall, the Halls. That's my brother right there. When he and I used to work at the FAA, he was part of the you know, his company was the primary on the contract, and I was a project manager with AT&T at the time. And I remember he was feeling some kind of way, and he was telling me how he had to, you know, he had to take what do you call it, like vitamin D shots and all kinds of stuff. So what I would do, he didn't know it, but what I began to do, I'll say, hey man, come on, let's take a walk, because for our people, we need to be out in the sun. You know what I mean? You can't sit up in the house. You need to go out in the sun, at least walk every, 15 minutes, even if it's on your break time, go outside for 15 minutes. So what I would do is, he didn't know. I said, come on, let's go grab some, go over to, what was it? I can't remember the place. I said, let's go over here and grab something to drink, and we'll walk a couple of blocks. And then we walking in the sun, and then we get there, and we did that a couple of times a day. And before you know it, he started feeling better. Right. And then when he told me, he said, hey, the doctors told me that my vitamin D just went up. He said, I don't have to take the vitamin D shots. And then when I explained to him why, he said, really? I said, yeah. I said that we as a people, we have to go out in that sun, and that's what happens to our people while we have such a deficiency in vitamin D, because now more and more, we used to go outside and play in the sun. Now more and more we start being inside. And most office buildings, guess what? You're not near a window. You know what I mean? You got cubicles, so you're in a place with no sunlight. Man, get outside and get some sun. That is our skin is built to what? Take these vitamins from the sun and convert it into healthy vitamin intake.
Yep. And you know what? That's why it's good to do that, because I even find myself, I'll get up and go walk around, the area and get, it's like today I posted I was walking my dog today, and it felt so good to be out there, and it's good to get that time outside, that sunlight. And then as we go into the winter, make sure that we have vitamin D on hand, because we have a tendency to have a very low vitamin D. We have a vitamin D deficiency going into the winter. So, So it's a lot of things, but we have to be guarded when it comes to this, because they're going to push this vaccine on us even harder going into this winter, because they're trying to get a vaccine out fast. And 78 vet, that my dog was not having it. She was ready to go in the house as soon as I took her outside. She was over it. But I meant we were gonna walk. So they're gonna push this vaccine even harder now. They're gonna push it even harder, and our people are gonna have to be very prepared and guarded, because they're already starting right now. So especially going into the election. So Anything else you want to add, Pastor? Because I'm getting ready to call it a
I'm
evening.
sorry. I'm sitting up here ordering my jars right now before you guys get to it. I'm sorry. That's why I was looking over at my other computer. It's like, let me get my order in right now before you guys make the price go up. It said $22. Normally it gets as high as $35.
Yeah, I just ordered mine. They have some on Amazon too.
Yeah, that's why I get it from Amazon.
Yep, that's what I
Yeah,
got.
so man, I'm getting mine right now before you guys take it all.
Oh
I knew
yeah,
you was doing that, sister. You trying to hog it up here.
I only got one. I was gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice to everybody. I'm gonna,
Okay, well, I'm sorry, guys, if you don't get yours. I ordered 3 jars of it. You know what I mean? I
yep.
apologize if it said that it's out of stock. It's because I ordered 3 jars just now.
And I ordered one, so it's probably 2 left out there. So
Uh-huh.
the 6
So
out there today, a minute ago.
yeah. So with that being said, I really don't have much more to share, but just encouraging the people, get in front of this thing. Don't
Yep.
wait until things start hitting
Yep.
the roof before you start trying to take charge, because that's what happened when we look at this whole corona thing. One thing we do as a preventive maintenance, in our ministry, we do a lot of fasting to
Mhm.
cleanse our system out. Make it a point to start cleaning your system out.
Yes.
Make it a point to go on this fast. That's why the scripture has us, pushing out, doing the fast is to clean out your system.
Yep.
But just make it a point to be more conscientious of what's going on and be on alert about the testing that they're trying to do. And matter of fact, I believe it's Sister Carol mentioned that in Houston, they're making it so that way they can pop up at your doorstep and do random testing. They're trying to make it the law down in Houston.
Oh,
So, and you may want to reach out to her so she could give clarity on that. But just be on alert, guys. Be on alert. You only get one of these bodies. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And if the Most High gonna bless you to live, let's just say to 100 years old, guess what? I'd rather for you to live to 100 being healthy
Mhm.
than being unhealthy, living that long to 100 and you unhealthy. That's a lot of years to
Yep.
be miserable.
Yep.
So that's pretty much what I have to say right there. Put some oats inside your diet as well.
Yep. I'm like, yeah, oats. I do oatmeal every morning. I'm starting back. My daughter now has made it her business every morning. Like this morning she didn't get her oatmeal. She was like, I didn't eat my oatmeal. I'm gonna have to make it. And they have other forms of things that are non-dairy. I ran across a non-dairy banana milk. I know it sounds gross, but actually it's very good. It doesn't have a whole lot of sugar, and the sugar that's in the milk is from the banana. So I'm pushing away from dairy as well. It was good. And your oatmeal, oh my goodness. And then my honey coming as well. Yeah. But we will say let's ease up, because ease up on the, I know the people here don't do a lot of processed food, but we just got to start watching what we eat. Becoming more healthy, becoming healthier. I don't want to say more, but healthier, and be very aware of what we're putting in our bodies.
Yeah.
And just leave it at that. The good thing is I'm loving the fact that our community is moving towards healthy living now. I hear more of our people saying vegan and vegetarian. Is it pescatarian when you're eating fish? I would consider, if I swing one way, it would be pescatarian, because I love fish. But yeah, I see our people talking more about health and being more conscientious of what we eat.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, oatmeal is good for us, even managing your blood sugar levels.
That's right. And your heart and
Yep.
everything. And that's what I did. And that's what we do in our house. And my grandmother, a lot of my relatives, they lived to being in their early to late 90s
Mhm.
because of what? Those simple things. Now, my grandmother took it a step further. She used to drink literally buttermilk like it was regular milk. But I can't mess with that. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, just eat healthy, guys. Just be more conscientious. Reduce a lot of the artificial things that are in your life. get rid of those juices and, just things like that. Just pay attention to every detail, and you'll be surprised how that can help your diet. And like Elder Hall, guess what? Even though he had to deal with kidney failure, but guess what? The Most High blessed him with a new kidney, and his diet completely changed. I mean, he was one of those I had to, I'm giving him scripture. Like, look, you're not supposed to eat those shrimps, man. Leave that shrimp. Leave that. I mean, he loved his shrimps.
Wow.
He loved his shrimps. He loved until I had to keep going into him with the scriptures. And once he stopped eating it, and then he went back and tried to eat it. It made him sick.
Oh yeah.
Because his body got so used to not dealing with that, and then it made it sick. And from that point on, he was like, Pastor, I don't even go near that stuff anymore.
Man.
So once your body flushed that thing out, when you go on a fast, it's not for you to go back to doing certain things.
Yep.
It's to get away from certain behaviors. So like with myself, I used to, man, I'm gonna tell you, I used to drive coming from Northern Virginia where you are. I used to drive home, stop by McDonald's and grab me a hamburger until I forgot I put my hamburger in my trunk. And I was cleaning my trunk out. 7 months later, I found my hamburger inside my trunk, my Big Mac. And guess what? It looked like I had just purchased it.
Oh, wow.
It had no smell. You know how normally, man, everything looked just the same.
The preservatives in that is oh my goodness.
And guess what? From that point on, I have not eaten a burger. I don't do none of that stuff because, beef can be just as bad if you're not eating the right stuff. You have to be careful what you're putting in your body, processed beef and all that stuff. Yeah, I left the burgers alone. I don't even do the burgers. Yep. I left all that. I mean, I'm serious. No, like my wife would tell you. I was like, you would, me seeing that, I was like, I know I didn't forget to leave this burger inside my car all this time. And just out of curiosity, I just opened it up, being curious. And that thing was, the bread wasn't even molded. You muted, Sista.
I said that
you getting sleepy? You get sleepy now? I'm just messing with you.
No. My mic doing something weird, but because I accidentally unplugged it. But the amount of preservatives in that burger, oh my goodness. And just think that's going in your body. What's so funny is you remember, and I know we're about to go, but this is the last point I'm going to make. You remember around 2000, the number of dialysis centers that they were building in the Black neighborhood.
Yep.
I forgot the name of it. It's called something. I can't remember the name of the dialysis center that we saw all over Memphis. And when they first started building them, I was like, what is this? Didn't know, it just all of a sudden just popped up. I think it's called DaVita or something like that. And I did not understand what it was. Now I see it. And I said, how did they know we were going to need that many? Now they are packed. People are in there. And I'm like, we have that many people in our community dealing with kidney disease.
Exactly. And I'm my wife, and I'll tell you, man, it makes me get, teary-eyed when I think about it, because his family was struggling, and she had her little nephew at the time, he was 16 years old, died from pancreatic cancer.
Oh, wow. 16
years old. And they said the cancer that he had was normally found in 70 and 80-year-old Asian men. Cause I've researched it, cause when I saw it, I was like, man, and it was just sad. It's like, wow, how do a 16-year-old have a cancer? And when you start thinking about it, he ate a lot of processed food.
Oh, wow.
Because his family they were strapped for money, and they ate a lot of processed food, and I, so I start bringing them up under my wing, trying to encourage them to change their diet. But that stuff, it can be very addictive.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. Look at it now. You have dialysis centers coming up, just like you have the liquor stores, the churches. They springing up everywhere. You have more dialysis centers in our community than Planned Parenthood now.
Correct. Correct. They killing us off with what we eat. Right. You have what's so funny is we have a dialysis center in a part of Memphis, and is right behind the dialysis center is behind a Krispy Kreme and across the street from a Burger King.
Yeah, and I'm telling you,
Wow. So
and look at what they market to us. I'm so, man, I cannot stand. What's that burger commercial? Is it Burger King or one of them? And you got the brother Thomas. I believe I'm gonna leave before you change your mind. You know what I mean? Got us looking so stupid, and just to push. Look at our people. We crowded behind Popeyes for their chicken sandwich, and yet your community water system is all screwed up, and you're not showing up to the meetings with the city councilman to talk about the poor water systems in your community. That's allowing this contaminant, what we just talked about, to come into your house with estrogen.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm sorry if we're about to go back into it again.
No, we good.
Right.
Cam, good night. They said we tried.
I'm
in the same boat.
Been trooping it out, right? Between your channel, our channel, and
I know,
Tail. Been trooping it out. I'm about to go to sleep too.
I am. Family, I do thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know it was late. Pastor Kelly, you got something to say before we close up?
I'm not saying anything else because I'm I still gotta, how pastors kind of had that Kojic thing where it's, I'm not gonna be long. I don't believe in preaching behind another preacher, so I'm just gonna keep it simple. And before you know, they just say God is good, and before you know, they keep you another hour and a half. They done preached another sermon, so I'm not gonna do that.
No, you are hilarious. But family, I will see y'all this week. I will definitely be doing the thing with the rest of the pastors on Sunday, including Pastor Kelly. All of us are going to come back up here and finish up on the feast days and the Sabbaths. I want to thank everybody for coming out, enjoying. I hope y'all enjoyed listening to us. We enjoyed you all being out in the chat and keeping us going, and just be privy of what's going on right now. And I know you all are. Stay aware of the news. Anything I run across, and I definitely know anything that Pastor Kelly runs across, we're going to bring it to the family for them to see it and pass it on to your family members. But thank you so much for coming out, and have a good evening.